and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1910B, and today's date is July 7th, 2019, and the title of the episode is Step Back and Really Look at What's Happening. Can you see the MOAB? Now, before I get started, we know there are many different common threats nowadays in America. Look at the migrants that are crossing the border illegally. We know the deep state, they like to push events, and we know there's a huge push for socialism. And we know that the deep state, they don't like to give up that easily. And one of the best things you can invest in for your home protection is a Patriot flashlight. And why not purchase one of the best flashlights on the market, which is the Patriot flashlight? This 4th of July is another reminder of why living in America is a beautiful privilege. That is why Rugged Reserves wants to extend a special 15% Patriot discount to all customers throughout the month of July. Why the Patriot flashlight? Well, you never have to waste money on batteries. There's a strobe light. You have a compass, a rope, wire cutter. You can recharge your phone. It's an incredible flashlight. Users have reported this flashlight to be an all-in-one lifesaver and wouldn't go anywhere without it. Lightweight but very durable, compact but great handling for all emergencies. Patriot flashlight is the perfect gift for you and your loved ones this 4th of July month. Limited supplies last, and this is the very last chance to get yours at a discount before they sell out. Take advantage now and give you and your family the gift of night protection. Visit patriotflashlight.com. Use the promo code X15 for 15% off. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, they are really starting to panic right now. The walls are closing in on them as the patriots continually drip more and more information out to the public. The deep state players right now, they're scrambling. This is all being done on purpose. Panic, fear leads to, I don't want to go to prison. I will cut a deal. I will talk. This is the whole reason the patriots are dripping this out. To instill fear in the deep state so they do stupid things, plus get those individuals to talk and turn on the other deep state players. And we're already seeing this happen. A key witness sought for questioning by the Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz early in the investigation into alleged government surveillance abuse has come forward at the 11th hour. At least one witness outside the Justice Department FBI started cooperating. A breakthrough that came after Attorney General William Barr ordered U.S. Attorney John Durham to lead a separate investigation into the origins of the Bureau's 2016 Russia case that laid the foundation for Special Counsel Robert Mueller's probe. Now, while the witness is not specifically identified, there is enough background material to identify who it could be. And most likely, it is State Department official Kathleen Kavalak. Now, are we absolutely sure? No, but the evidence kind of points in that direction. Remember, Kathleen Kavalak was the Deputy Assistant Director, Department of State, Bureau of European and Eurasian Affairs, serving under Victoria Nuland, and covered Russia as part of her State Department duties. Kavalak was contacted by Christopher Steele prior to the Pfizer application on Carter Page being sought by the FBI and Department of Justice, and Kavalak wrote a series of notes and emails to the FBI undercutting the dossier central claims made by Steele. So this individual who came forward, who was starting to panic, starting to get worried, and probably said, I'm not going to prison for this. I'm coming forward and cooperating. It could be Kathleen Kavalak. Now, we're getting word that Jeffrey Epstein was arrested for sex trafficking and conspiracy. And he was arrested on new charges relating to his prior controversial Florida arrest and conviction of sex crimes. Now, Technofog tweeted out the following. Whoa. Jeffrey Epstein arrested for allegedly sex trafficking dozens of minors in New York and Florida between 2002 and 2005. Technofog continued with his tweets. This comes 2 weeks after the Department of Justice argued against the rescission of the Epstein non-prosecution agreement in the victim's Florida case, and gave the full doc and highlighted a certain section here. Partial rescission contravenes governing tenets of contract law. In addition to the potential harm posed to innocent third parties, the law unfortunately restricts the government's and courts' ability to rewrite the NPA and decide later. So let's go back to May 24th, where Technofog tweeted out the following. Wait, was pedophile Jeffrey Epstein an informant for Mueller's FBI? From the 5/24/18 FBI Vault release, Epstein has also provided information to the FBI as agreed upon. Is that why he escaped serious charges for molesting over 20 girls? Maybe. And we have the documents right here. Technofog continued on May 24, 2018. Here's the thing. I'm seeing nothing in Epstein's 2007 plea deal with the Department of Justice that required him to provide information to the FBI. This begs the question of whether there was a separate agreement still undisclosed with the FBI. Now, this is very interesting. What we are watching right now is the takedown of the biggest sex ring sex cult, and NXIVM was the primer. We've been talking about this for quite a while. Ray Chandler, as we said before, is going to be 100 times worse than NXIVM and everything else that we've seen. And Jeffrey Epstein is now the focal point. Think about what is happening right now. Now, since Epstein is the focal point, they're going to be dripping out more information and making many, many connections. Now, the mainstream media, the deep state, they're going to try to connect Trump to all of this. But this is going to fail, and we'll explain why in just a minute. But first, the first information that's being dripped out is that Jeffrey Epstein once claimed he co-founded the Clinton Foundation. Now think about that for a sec. That he was involved in the Clinton Foundation. Remember, Q has given us many, many different posts that show Clinton and others being photographed near Epstein Island. Also, there's flight logs of certain individuals flying to this island. What makes this even more interesting is that the team of federal prosecutors from the Southern District of New York, along with some in the Public Corruption Unit, have been assigned to the case. Who has been assigned to the case? Maureen Comey. Ring a bell? James Comey's daughter. He was the former FBI director, and he continually puts out those coded tweets. Trump continually hits Comey very, very hard when he tweets out. He fired Comey. So Maureen Comey is one of the prosecutors who's been assigned to this case. And she's the assistant U.S. attorney in New York State. I wonder if she's there to hide certain information. Well, at least as best she can. Now, will she be able to? Most likely not. We also have something very interesting from Christine Pelosi, daughter of Nancy Pelosi. She tweeted out her concern about her faves being caught up in the child sex abuse scandal. This is her tweet. This Epstein case is horrific, and the young women deserve justice. It is quite likely that some of our faves are implicated, but we must follow the facts and let the chips fall where they may, whether on Republicans or Democrats. She already knows there are certain individuals that are going to be named. These are the faves, but who is she exactly talking about? I think this is much bigger than everyone thinks. And she's projecting out there to get ahead of this story. Remember, NXIVM was the primer. This was used to show the following. Sex cults, sex slaves, they do exist. Famous and wealthy people are involved. The people the deep state pushed on us to look up to, they are involved. It was to break down everything the deep state has done in the past, to show that these things really do exist. It's not a conspiracy theory. They had a whole trial. They were convicted, and there were many wealthy individuals, Hollywood actresses, actors, all involved in this. Let's go back to post 999. Q says, why is Epstein spending $29 million to bury the tunnels underneath his temple on Epstein Island? Problem? Phones were allowed in, which means there's pictures and videos. Remember, the patriots have it all. Q says these people are stupid. Let's fast forward to 1055. And Anon put up a picture of Clinton and Ray Chandler. Q says, Epstein's plane. Who is she? Follow friends. Friends lead to others. Open source. We know that Ray Chandler was the handler. And this is why you see her in pictures with many of these individuals. Let's fast forward to post 3050. We see a picture which Q gives us of Epstein Island and the temple on the island and says normal. No, it's not normal. Q continues on with this post and said, this is not just about sex trafficking. This is number 1, bold in brackets. Will the rich and powerful influence the court to prevent the unsealing? The tale of two. Number 1, sex resort, non-temple resort only, trafficked and drugged underage girls. Number 2, occult, worship of evil, temple, class, and this is in brackets, all bold caps, 1 through 99. Haiti with an arrow, pray for the victims. Fast forward to post 3140. Epstein Island dungeon beneath the temple. Sex and torture rooms. Openly flaunt across social media. Untouchable? They are not untouchable. Move to post 3156. Ray Chandler equals Allison Mack times 100. So the Nexium sex trafficking with Allison Mack, Ray Chandler, and Epstein Island is going to be 100 times worse. Now, the mainstream media and the deep state, they're going to try to link Trump with Epstein. And you can see this is already happening. They tried to do this with the dossier, but they couldn't. They will now show old pics and other things to show that Trump was involved. And Anon listed some very important facts about Trump and Epstein. This Anon said the following. Collected counterpoints for the mainstream media spin. Trump kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his golf club and banned him for life when he found out Epstein was hooking up with the 14-year-old daughter of an employer. Trump is not in the flight log to Lolita Island, not even once. He hitched a ride back from Daytona Beach to New York City with Epstein's son one time, and I have little doubt they tried like holy hell to get Trump to Lolita Island. Epstein assaulted a young girl at Mar-a-Lago, and Trump had him banned for life. At Epstein's first arrest, Trump went voluntarily to the police to give a statement. At the time, the police commented he could not have been more forthcoming. Trump knew what Epstein was up to. He's a fun guy, likes his girls young, really, really young. People held that against him as if it were some form of agreement when, in fact, in typical Trump fashion, he slapped Epstein publicly, iron fist in velvet glove. He was not a politician, and he had to do business with these people, and he still managed to say something about what he knew was going on. Now, Dirty Truth put out a tweet where there's this interview with attorney Bradley Edwards. And in the interview, attorney Bradley Edwards, in 2009, when Trump was just a citizen, he was cooperating. He was a cooperating witness. They gave good information that checked out in the Jeffrey Epstein case. He actually spoke to this attorney, gave him information that helped the case. This was back in 2009. And this attorney said, yes, I heard that Trump, or one of the employees, which is controlled by Trump, kicked out Epstein from the club because of him trying to get with this 14-year-old girl. Now, think about this for a second. This was back in 2009. before Trump was even thinking about being president in 2016. He was just a citizen. Why do you think the patriots picked Trump? Remember, they checked out his entire background with a fine-tooth comb. They went through his taxes and everything else to make sure he was perfectly clean. Because if there was anything dirty that the deep state could use, it would be game over. And this is why they're trying so hard. Coming out of page 6, there was an article that says Trump was so boring at Studio 54. He's a boring guy. Why? He doesn't drink. He doesn't take drugs. And he didn't follow the pack. But what did he do? He saw everything that was going on. Think about that for a second. Think about what he knows, because he played in the same arena as these individuals, but didn't cooperate. He watched and observed, and he has the information. Listen to what he said to Hannity when he was speaking to him. Take a listen.
Bill Clinton.
Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein. A lot of problems.
And as you can see, big things are wrong with Epstein Island. Let's go back to post 1832 for a sec. And down below, it says the following. At some point, it will not be safe for them to walk down the street. Pure evil. How many in Washington and those around the world in power worship the devil? Conspiracy, fake news? The world is watching. Think about this for a sec. These people, it will not be safe for them to walk down the street. Remember, Q showed us the temple. They worship evil. They have dungeons underneath. Why is this being built up right now? That's the question. Why is this all coming out once again? There's a reason for it, and we'll be talking about that in just a minute. But I wanted to go back to the census question about citizenship. Back in 2000, the U.S. Census asked about citizenship, and this is on page 4 of the 2000 U.S. Census. This was during Obama's term. Obama took the question off the census in 2010 so he could help the Dems hold power. This way no one would figure out who was a citizen and who wasn't. Now the president wants it back to show that there's a lot of individuals in this country that shouldn't be here, a lot more than people think. And guess what? Trump, in this argument, he's going to have the upper hand. And guess what? He's going to use the Constitution against the deep state. Now, this is very interesting. We know that there's a huge amount of censorship going on with the big tech companies. And when Google needed government sign-off on 2007 acquisition that would tighten its grip on the digital advertising market, the company turned to antitrust attorney and lobbyist Macon Delorme to help get the job done. Now, what's very interesting about this is that this individual helped Google back in 2007. This same individual is now the Justice Department's top antitrust enforcer. So this individual knows everything that Google, YouTube, and the rest have been doing. This is very interesting. Is this individual going to be Google's and the rest worst nightmare? Maybe. We'll have to watch and see. Now, the deep state players, they're becoming very, very nervous about the Iran deal. Macron is out there, and he had an hour-long phone conversation with Rouhani discussing conditions for a dialogue resumption between all parties of the JCPOA. And they're saying, listen, we need to maybe have some type of meeting by July 15th because Iran needs to stick to this deal. And Macron is arguing that they must stick to the deal. it looks like the deep state is panicking because, like I said before, I do believe there's another deal behind closed doors that's been agreed upon, and those people that were worried, they no longer have to worry because it's part of the agreement, and it's going to expose everyone else. And you're watching the deep state panic right now. Now, like we said before about what is going on with Jeffrey Epstein, we need to step back and really look at what is going on. So you can see the mother of all bombs. You can see how the patriots are maneuvering all of this together so there is no escape. Actually, it's brilliant. Now, we know that there are investigations going on. We know they're being conducted by Barr, Huber, Durham, Horowitz, etc. We know certain investigations are completed, and they're wrapping up others, and they're putting together reports, and they're going to produce these. Now, the patriots, they just didn't want to rely on the investigations. Remember, they need to corner and box in the deep state so there is no escape, so the public understands who these individuals are. And the investigations that have to do with illegal spying, FISA, email scandals, corruption, treason crimes, Uranium One, etc., this is all part of the MOAB. Now think about this for a sec. If you wanted to really box these individuals in so there's no escape, what do you go after? You go after their reputation. You go after who they really are. Think about it for a sec. Yes, you'll have documentation showing that they ordered the spying, that they covered up information, they committed treason. But to bring this home and to have a MOAB where people say, these people disgust me, and these people will have trouble walking down the streets, you hit at their reputation. You hit at what makes them them. How are they going to do this? Well, it's going to be Ray Chandler, Epstein Island. They're going to use this to destroy them. That's what they're going to do. This is the MOAB. And it's been done very, very carefully. Because while the deep state is worried about the investigations, about the treason, and they're preparing for that, what else do the patriots have? They have the video, the pictures, the flight logs, the information about what these people actually do. Think about a Hollywood actor or actress where people believe that these people are upstanding citizens. And even think about wealthy individuals or judges or lawyers or wealthy financiers. Once people hear that they're involved in keeping young girls in prison or boys in prison, worshiping the devil, what happens to their reputation? What happens to these individuals? They lose it all. There's no coming back from that. The patriots were brilliant in this. They set all of this up so there would never, ever be an escape from what they have planned here. And I believe this is why Q said this. At some point, it will not be safe for them to walk down the street. Pure evil. And pure evil is all caps. So think about this for a sec. What the patriots have done here. It wasn't just about, oh, let's get Hillary Clinton on the email scandal. Let's just get this individual on Uranium One. Q, Trump, they've been saying this for a very long time. This can never happen again, ever. Tom Fitton from Judicial Watch tweeted out the following. Judicial Watch remains committed to uncovering the truth because no one is above the law. What did Judicial Watch put on their tweet? This is from Benjamin Franklin. A nation of well-informed men and women who have been taught to know and prize the rights which God has given them cannot be enslaved. It is in the region of ignorance that tyranny begins. The patriots have the deep state boxed in. There is no escape. You can see what the mother of all bombs is, and they're going to bring down the deep state. It has begun. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.